wouldn't bet in your best you are. Yes, me challenge the president to go for any time. In this country, President Akufo, member will show down. Vice President, member will show down. So, Mama chasing me agent. I'm not going to shut them. What do you bet in your best you are? Yes, me challenge the president to go for any time.
And welcome to our extensive coverage of the NPP Special Delegates Conference, which is happening across the country in all the 16 regions, across 17 polling centers. 961 persons are expected to cast their votes. As we speak, voting has officially ended. And just to remind you that we're also live on 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio. This is your election command center. My name is Johnny Hughes. I'm here with Duke Mensa Opoku, who's been giving us some fantastic analysis and figures, casting back into time and then also surging forward into time. We'll introduce my guest to you now. Dr. Smart Sapon is a senior lecturer with the Kumasi Technical University. Also with him is Dr. Frederick Udro. He is a governance expert. Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you. How are you doing?
All is well.
Great.
But,
Duke, how are you also doing?
But he's now professor.
Oh,
so
Prof.
Please.
Apologies, Prof.
In academia, we have to respect.
I know, but because
well.
Prof actually didn't invite us to the celebration, so which is why. But
you now gave me shout out here on 3 News. So
we do know that counting is underway. We'll come to you for your reactions, but then if you see what's on your screens now, counting is presently underway. Let's cross over now and hear the sights and sound from there.
Right beside the table you see in the show, you should by now know your smoothness level, because obviously the sorting is done. If your candidate has really made it really impact or would make it to the top 5 in this super delegates election, you should know by now, at least have the NPP headquarters here at Savannah. Very calm, and almost everyone who came through basically shared some hope of confidence, trusting that the process will end.
And then you can see that's the polling station where Roland Walker is pitch camp. You can also see there Mr. Richard Ahiaba is the Director of Communications of the New Patriotic Party. With him is Ebenezer Nah, who is also Member of Parliament for Ablekuma Central Constituency, and many others. EC officials there. Voting has ended, counting is underway, and I'm sure that the delegates have made their own choices to prune down the 10 candidates who wanted to lead or wave the flag of the NPP into the 2024 elections. There are 5 of them. After today's exercise is done, the real showdown, as Honorable Kennedy Japan had mentioned, would happen on the 4th of November 2023. So this is the headquarters where Roland Walker is standing by. I mentioned earlier that we had 17 polling stations across the country, and we do know that in the last few hours in the Ashanti region, for example, where voting is happening at the KNUST Law Faculty, the rain had disrupted the weather. But Evans Income is joining us now from the Ashanti region. He has updates for us. Bill, thank you very much for joining us. What can you report?
Well, thanks for having me, Johnny. So I can tell you that voting has ended, now sorting at what we are saying here. So very soon, there's going to be counting and then declaration of provisional results. Per the guidelines, whatever happens here is going to be very provisional, and then the results will be sent to Accra for the final result to also be announced. So currently, we are not allowed into the inner perimeter. The only people that you can see in the inner perimeter or where the sorting and counting is happening are polling agents, of course, the police who are here to provide security, and of course, agents for the various candidates. So those are the people that you can find within the inner perimeter. Since throughout the process, the media hasn't been given the opportunity to enter the inner perimeter. So now it is even difficult to really tell as to the 119 delegates as to whether all of them voted or as to what percentage were able to turn out and then vote or turn up and vote as far as this particular process is concerned. So sorting, as I said, is ongoing. Counting will also be done. Then we know who has won is the Ashanti region.
I know that the rains poured a few hours ago. How did that affect the whole voting process?
Well, it slowed the process because it was quite cut and dot, but it was very brief. If my memory serves me right, it didn't go beyond 1 hour, but it slowed the process because the entire exercise was brought to a halt.
I know also that in the last few hours, a youth organizer in the region voted and showed his ballot sheet to the crowd out there. That caused some bit of tension and confusion at that polling station. We know what the party's rules have been, that any of such that happens automatically annuls that particular vote. Have the other candidates who were not beneficiaries of this individual's action been reacting?
Well, they stood on their grounds to ensure that that particular ballot was not counted, and exactly what happened. The ballot wasn't counted; it was counted as a rejected one, and of course, he was also not given an opportunity to vote again, even though he made several attempts to do that. But that particular, opportunity was never given to him, so he had to leave the scene. Exactly what happened. But right after that, there was some, fracas, and I witnessed between Team Kennedy Japan and then that of Bawumia, and of course, intermittently you see also Team Alan also against Bawumia. But the beautiful thing about this whole thing is that right after that fracas, I saw them having a healthy chat and also singing Jama and all of that. Exactly what is happening. A bit discreet, so I'm not too sure you'll be able to hear the sound back door. But I can tell you that in the midst of the tension, they are also having fun as well.
The time will come to you when voting, counting is finally done and the declaration has been officially made by the Electoral Commission. And we'll be crisscrossing the country because we have men dotted all across the country at various polling stations. We'll be bringing you the details as we find it. Remember that we're live on 3FM 92.7. If you have to step out, you know where to tune out. Also, we're on Facebook, on TV3 Ghana, and on 3FM 927 on Facebook. Crosby Annan is standing by. He is at the NPP Greater Accra polling station. That's YMCA. Crosby, thank you very much indeed for joining us. What can you share from where you stand?
Well, Johnny, thanks for having me. So at the moment, the entire process has come to an end at the Greater Accra Regional Voting Center of the NPP Super Delegates Congress. And what is happening behind me is the aftermath of voting as well as sorting and counting. So at the moment, counting has ended, sorting ended before voting began. And what the results are looking like at the moment is that the Dr. Bawumia team are very excited here at the regional office, the regional voting center of the NPP, because Dr. Bawumia polled 36 out of the total of 72 aspirants or 72 delegates who were expected to cast their votes, out of which 71 appeared to vote. Dr. Bawumia was followed closely by the Honorable Kennedy Japan, who also polled 15 votes at this very center of the NPP, the Greater Accra Regional Voting Center. Then there is Alan Tremanti, who got 15 out of the votes. And then Dr. Freya Kutu, the former Greek minister, polled 3 votes. The last on the list was Japan, who obtained a vote at the Greater Accra Regional Voting Center of the NPP. So, Johnny, this is what has been happening here. The entire process has been smooth. At exactly 1 o'clock p.m., the electoral officials got together. They broke the seal of the ballot box. They took the ballot box to where the sorting happened, and the entire team witnessed the sorting process. It appears no disagreements have erupted at the moment. The entire process has been smooth. However, the results I just gave to you are provisional results. So we'll be waiting for the official declaration, if you like, of the electoral commissioner in charge of this center and the Greater Accra Regional Voting Center to bring us into details what the entire process was like and officially declare Dr. Bawumia as the winner of this voting center in the Greater Accra region.
The reaction of the polling agents of the other candidates, can you share? What has it been?
Well, Johnny, I think it was expected. So as the sorting and the counting was ongoing, it was all on their faces. They were like very much anticipating how the entire process will go. That is what I think was happening, because nobody is actually shocked. They are all in normal spirit, and in essence, to say that this was the results they were anticipating. For the other candidates who did not get any vote, we're talking about Kofi Konadu Apreku, Kojonsa Kwapoku, and the others, all their agents there are behaving normally. I mean, they are taking it in their strides because, as I said earlier, this is something they may have anticipated even before the entire process began for sorting and counting to be initiated. If you see just here, you find some of the supporters of the various candidates. You find Ashla Wusu seated there. There's also the Foreign Affairs Minister, Shelley Ayoko, who declared their support for Dr. Bawumia, saying that the last will be the first. So far, it's been an exciting process. We'll try and hear a few things of what's
I see.
To the November elections. We never underestimate any election. So me, I don't go into any election thinking I have already won. With or without the outcome of the results, we would still have a lot of work to do, and we are going to do it. We are going to do it.
I'm satisfied with the proceedings, the entire thing.
Absolutely.
I saw you looking at the results from the other regions as well.
You have to. So we're monitoring. So you are disturbing me small now. We have to monitor what's happening elsewhere. But we're satisfied that overall, number 10 is winning by a large margin and sending a strong signal to the party and the world that he is the people's choice.
Were you surprised by the good showings by some of the other candidates?
The predictions were that 3 candidates would do well. One would be the overwhelming favorite, and it is proving exactly as was predicted. So I'm not surprised.
All right, thank you very much. So, Johnny, that was the Communications Minister, Esther Olusegun, reacting to the provisional results after counting was done at the Greater Accra Regional Voting Center of the NPP Super Delegates Congress. And the Honorable Esther Olusegun, in an earlier conversation with them, was saying that if after the entire process there is an overwhelming victor, then she urges all the other aspirants that follow closely, talking about the other second, third, fourth, and fifth positions, to sit down and then rally their support behind the person who won overwhelmingly at the end of the entire process. Johnny, that is what has been happening at the Greater Accra Regional Voting Center at the YMCA at Ridge in Accra.
Thank you very much, Noble Crosby Annan. He is in the Greater Accra Region YMCA, and he brought us that result. It looks as if per the trend that's happening, Bawumia and then Kennedy Ejapon and then Alan Chermanting. Well, it looks like Ben Efson's prediction is coming to pass. But Ibrahim Abubakar is joining us from the Bono region. Ibrahim, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, Johnny.
What's happening there, where you are?
Well, Johnny, counting is over here. 37 delegates cast their ballot. In fact, they were supposed to be 38, but the Bono regional chairman, Kwame Bafo, popularly known as Abronye DC, decided to abstain himself from this exercise. That was 2 days ago. In the morning, he was here just to observe what was happening, but he left. So 37 of them voted, and out of the results, the 37, Kennedy Ohene Ajekum had 5 votes, Alan Kojo Tremantin had 2 votes, Dr. Akoto-Efri had 2 votes, and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia had 28 votes, making 37. So the rest had 0 each. So that is the situation here in the Bono region.
The Bono region is one of the swing regions if you look at the dynamics of our elections since 1992. Do you get a sense that the reaction of the people there and the choice that they have made in favor of Dr. Bawumia could translate in the November 4 big election to get that single person out of the 5 to wave the flag for the NPP?
Well, Johnny, you can never tell because for the main election, this one is less than 1% of the people voting in the main election to select the flag bearer who will lead the party. When we came, we had a number of people here. In fact, the voting center, the way it has been structured, if you have no business doing here, you will not even have access to the voting area.
Right.
Not talk about coming here to mass up. So the only people you find here are delegates who are voting, EC officials, journalists, and police officers here. I've engaged some of them. In fact, it's a mixed feeling, whilst others are saying, and this is a statement that they are making, that the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, will be made the flag bearer of the NPP in the November elections. Others are also of the view that, well, like I said, these are just less than 1% of the people voting, and we have the grassroots who are also thinking of other things. And the chairman, the other executives cannot convince or induce them to vote for candidates that they do not prefer. So it's a bit dicey. You speak to 3 people, they all give different takes on it.
Ibrahim Abubakar, thank you very much indeed. We'll come for the certified results in good time. But from the Bono region, we'll go straight to the northeast region where Christopher Moako is our boots on the ground. Chris, thank you very much indeed. What's the update?
Okay, so now counting is over. And this happens to be the home region of the vice president, one of the aspirants. And after the counting, the vice president obtained 28 votes out of a total of 28 valid votes cast. He has taken over all the votes and obtaining 100%. All other 9 candidates obtained 0 in this particular election, thereby making the vice president to secure 100% votes after today's election.
I see. Now, this would be a resounding victory for the vice president. Is that to say that the other candidates did not really show in that particular region in terms of their campaigns and debates that they had? Because I know that they also came to that region. Why didn't that reflect in the results? Do you know?
Yes, so the regional executives, as well as other appointees from this region, before the elections today, indicated that the vice president was going to obtain 100% vote. And true to their words, they were able to ensure that he obtained 100% vote. According to them, this is the home region of the vice president, and they will do everything humanly possible, not because he's only from this area, but because he's credible enough to lead the party going into the 2024 general elections. Johnny.
And now there's been 2 issues. The candidate's agent, Kennedy Japon's agent, and also that of Alan Kojo Tremantin's agent. They are alleging that one has been assaulted and the other was made to flee the polling station. Are you able to confirm these incidents? Because the Honorable Kennedy Japan says he will give President Akufo-Addo and the Vice President a showdown.
Yes, Johnny, I am able to confirm that earlier today there was this skirmishes or misunderstanding between an agent believed to be for one of the aspirants, that is Alan Kojo Tremantin, and some other delegates in the voting center. But because the media were not allowed entry into the voting center, I cannot actually give an account of what actually happened. But all I saw was that he came out with blood oozing through his face. But when I interacted with him, he did mention that there was this confusion in there between him and a delegate, which actually resulted in the delegate pushing him and his head hitting a wall. And so that actually caused him to bleed from the face. But right after that, the Northeast Regional Minister, Honorable Zachariah Idana, together with the Sports Minister and other regional executives, moved the agent to the Baptist Medical Center, where he was given medical attention. As we speak, even before the counting process, he was brought back to the center to ensure that the party unity that they have been preaching gets a headway.
The concern that this agent is supposed to have raised is the fact that some individuals were flouting the party's directive not to vote and show their decision or their votes to the crowd there. Now, the party indicated that if you do any of such, your votes will be annulled. Was there any of this? Did any of this play out? Was any vote annulled as a result of this allegation that was made, if it's true?
Yes, Johnny. So the victim actually mentioned that to me, that the reason why there was that confrontation was because a particular delegate voted and raised his ballot paper, and he signaled the EC officials that it wasn't proper for that to be done. That resulted in that misunderstanding. But I have engaged the EC officials here who tells me that they were busy with issuing of the ballot paper and could not tell actually whether it was because someone showed the paper. But the particular delegate who allegedly or supposedly raised the ballot paper, I engaged him also, and he told me that he had finished casting his vote and needed to clean his thumb on his head to ensure that there is nothing like double voting on his ballot paper. And that was what the agent saw and mistook that for the fact that he was showing his votes. And that actually led to the confrontation. I've been trying to engage the victim again to find out actually what the situation is and even how he feels as at now. But he tells me that he's unable to speak to me as at now.
Claim they were busy. Were the police also very busy? Because that will be against the electoral laws.
Johnny, can you come again?
Were the police also busy, too busy to have noticed somebody displaying his decision in the ballot box?
So, Johnny, you know the bureaucracy now within the police administration. It is difficult for you to tap information from them. I did actually try getting an information from the police who were actually stationed inside the voting center, but they declined talking to me. But, Johnny, one thing is that we were not happy as media personnel when we got here and were told that we're not supposed to enter. And that is not only for the Northeast region. In the Northern and Savannah regions, that was actually what happened there. Probably if the media were allowed entry into the premises of the election, we would have been able to give first-hand account of what actually transpired inside.
Chris, I thank you very much. I see a lot of desperados behind you staring woodenly into your camera. They want their slice of fame at this point. But thank you very much indeed for work being done there. And that's Christopher Mwako there. He's in the Northeast region. Let's get into the studio now and engage with my panelists who have joined me here. Professor Smart Sapon is with the Kumasi Technical University, and also Dr. Frederick Autry. He's a local governance expert with me here. Also is my colleague, Duke Mensa Opoku, who will give us some infographics and analysis as we tag along. Kwaberi Wedam Dennis will also join us with some social media twists, and 6-2 Don Ulo as well. So we're giving you a full coverage of what's happening across the country. Now we do know, gentlemen, that it looks like it's a Bawumia, Kennedy Ejepon, and Alan Tremanting. Doc, I'll start with you. Did you see this coming?
Well, I'm not surprised. The only thing that because they are picking 5, I have been interested in who are going to be the other 2.
Right.
I've also been interested in between Alan and Kennedy Japan, who was going to be second.
Right. That has been settled.
Well,
largely.
It is looking like indeed it's going to be Kennedy Japan holding the second position. But we're still interested in who is 4th and 5th. And
who do you see in those slots?
Well, I think I wouldn't be surprised somebody like Dr. Kuto coming in there. The others, they are not too clear.
Kwabena Japan, you're not too sure of him?
So far, not a snippet about them. But they could be, Wache Jakun could slip through. Jogate, we can't rule him out completely. I've not heard anything from the Western region. Ashanti region can also be interesting. Right. And the Eastern region too could bring something. So Greater Accra, Eastern region, Western region, Ashanti region can change the dynamics. As of now, I haven't had any quick of what is happening in those areas. So if any of them can pick some votes in some of them, they could slip through.
Slip through. Professor Sapon, they could slip through. This looks like a walk in the park for Dr. Bawumia, given the provisional results we're getting here. But then questions have been asked as to whether he is the best pair of hands to break the 8, as it were. What do you say?
Yes, a very good afternoon to your good self and to our cherished viewers. It's been interesting, and the results coming in as we taken from your reporters suggest that the vice president is in a very good lead. I am foreseeing the 3 that we all knew, and I had added that Akoto will take the 4th, and he's actually taking the 4th. Now, who takes the 5th is ranging between Wache Jakun, who is the provisional results in here, having the majority now. Right. And then Adenimo is also in the race strongly. Then Kwabena Japan, and then surprisingly, Kwajopoku has gotten 1.
Only 1 vote?
Yes, he's gotten 1 from Oti. I think he had somebody there who found favor with him and has gotten 1. Ahead of Jogate. My brother was asking about Western region. I think from the few news we picked from the Western region, the votes have been counted, and Honorable Jogate did not get any, even from
a single vote
from his own region.
Yeah, did not
that's strange. That takes him out.
That's strange, is it not? Because if you look at the history, and we'll come to Duke shortly for that. If you look at the history, Jogate in the past has placed, in a very good position at the top, having been at these primaries for a couple of times. So quite surprising and shocking for me.
In 2014. He was part of the top 5. In fact, in 2014,
was number 3.
Was number 3. Yes. He placed 3rd along with Adenimo.
Right.
They all had 22 out of the 740 who voted.
Right.
Out of the 740 who voted, they had 22 each to place, let's say, 3rd and 3rd, or 3rd and 4th. And Honorable Osameya with 19 votes added to become the 5th person.
Right.
So quite experienced in this race, but unfortunately, this time,
what could be accounting for that? I mean, for his own people in his backyard. Yes. I thought the Fanti said Azuofioye.
Yes, but he didn't take. So in my previous profiling of the candidates, my view on him was that he had not yet taken. I did this profiling about a week to the elections, and my view was that he had not, as at 1 week to election day, taken advantage of the fact that he is the only candidate from that region. You see, other regions have 6 candidates. Ashanti has 6.
Right.
Then the rest 1. In Western region, he happens to be the only candidate from there. And from the arrangement of things, when Honorable Papa Usuankuma, who happened to be the senior most party person, left to ambassadorial.
Right. The UK.
Yeah, the UK. He would have taken over as the senior most. Rope in Kojoche, the Kodems, rope in Japan Mesa Dems, and all those things, and perhaps help or taking more interest in discussions at home. But it appears that even with this consultation towards the 961 delegates, he consulted outside regions even better than the Western region, the internal. And I pointed it to him in a discussion that for me is a weakness. You start from home. Right. And he accepted that he was going to work on it. But I think maybe by the time he went to work on home,
it was too late.
Yeah, other outside candidates had come to give perhaps a good assurance or something to the delegates.
Dr. Otri, the Western region traditionally, the Western region traditionally votes for the NPP. If you check the trajectory of results since 1992, they voted for the NPP. And it's quite shocking that they could reject one of their own, especially for a region that's also swing until the Western North was carved out of it.
Well, if you look at his own performance in the last elections, even a parliamentary candidate, there were challenges for him. And I personally foresee him not going back even to contest as a member of parliament, should he fall off this thing. Because as Prof pointed out, it seems over time he seems to have lost steam in active politicking in the area. Indeed, you would have expected him. He's the senior most. In fact, across the Western region, as far as the NPP is concerned, he's the senior most. But incidentally, you can see that he's no more holding a ministerial position. Maybe because he came out to say he was going to contest. That's why he lost his seat. But individuals like Kojo Oche,
the regional minister,
is a regional minister. Etepa Mensah, who is fairly
second is going to be MP, right?
Is a deputy minister. I mean, we had a minister for chieftaincy who fell ill. He was a minister, substantive minister. There's one for the one for Ifeankwanta. Is it at Kujo?
There's Mrekuduka as well.
Mrekuduka is holding.
There's Kujo.
So Atukujo is there. So you would have expected that he could even bring them together as perhaps the elder person. He's not that old anyway, but as a more, he's got more experience than all of them. But he seemed to have rather withdrawn. I mean, since even as a minister for railways development, he wasn't that publicly engaging as he used to be. When he, under President Kufuor, at a point he rose up to become the Attorney General, which was a huge role he was playing. But over the years, I think he's become laid back and all that. So I think he was losing steam. And I think he didn't also go into this contest with so much vigor as some of the candidates. I mean, you look at Alan Martin, you see him campaigning. Of course, you can talk about Kennedy Japan. Actively campaigning. Dr. Akuto is campaigning.
So he was missing in his own equation.
Even nationally, I don't think he was that visible.
I see. Well, Duke, look into the crystal ball. You've been looking at the figures. Does this also come to you as a shock?
Huge shock. Huge surprise for me. For a man of Jogati's caliber and political standing, for him to get no vote in his home region is a big deal. Big deal. Maybe it's about time he actually needs to evaluate his political relevance and his political standing. Because for you to drop from, he was in the super delegates in 21st of December, actually indicated to come joint third with Adeniran, who's also in this race. And for you to get absolutely nothing, means that in all your canvassing, in all your conversation, in all your decision, in all your convincing of delegates, you are not even able to convince one person in your own region to cast his ballot for you. That's a huge...
Not the founding fathers, not the sitting MPs, not the regional executive, not the constituency executive.
And that's strange, because if MPs are part of those who are voting, and he's an MP, he's still in parliament.
That's right.
And he didn't vote for him. Is that to say he didn't vote for himself?
Well, it's a good question to ask.
So we need to really interrogate the numbers there. But for me, I thought that just he at least should have been in the top 3 in the central region, because of course Alan also claims sorry,
Western region.
Sorry,
that's
not
it.
Central.
Yeah,
Western region, that's what I mean. So he's the only sole candidate from the Western region. And for him, as we are hearing, not to get even a vote, that's a really, 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 I mean, bad situation. He needs to. We saw how difficult or tough it was for him in the last election with Dr. Grace Ayesu Dankwa, who contested him in that. It was a very. It made a Sikado Ketan, which I mean, he there too was cool chop, as we would say it in for him.
It's rather upper west, not western.
It's rather upper west.
Right.
Yes. So yeah, because that would have been it would have been strange. So that's. I mean, a good clarification. So it's not the Western region, it's the Upper West region. But in relation to why he was, interestingly, Jogate was the first person to declare that he will run in this election.
Exactly.
First person. And I'm sure that's the reason why he was not given a ministerial appointment.
Right.
Because you know that all the people in President Akufo-Addo's government had to resign.
That's right.
And for him, he was the first person to declare. And we even heard that at a point in time, there was a frosty relationship between the president and Dr. Koto Efriye, because when he spoke to him about making him a minister in his second term, he didn't indicate to him that he was going to run. So the president felt betrayed, and because of that, there was some frosty relationship, even though they've patched up since.
There was also a frosty relationship. I mean, when he left the railway ministry, there was a question about rail from Western region to Paga. Remember that?
Yes.
The Sky Trains and the rest. And he came public to actually challenge the government publicly about because you were in parliament.
Yes,
so,
that's after he was not made a minister. And we're told that is essentially because he declared that he was going to run at a point in time, and the president has made it clear that he didn't want people being double-minded. You can't be in the government and also be thinking about being president, which puts Dr. Bawumia in a very peculiar situation. Of course, he's vice president. It's a constitutional mandate that's given to him. But all the others who were ministers, they've had to resign. Alan, first person to resign. Akoto followed. Others followed. And that's how, So in Western region, we are told Jogate got one. That would be
he got one vote. That would be his own vote.
It's still very, very, very bad.
Quite shocking.
Very bad for.
Quite shocking. So just to clarify, these are provisional results that we have. We're waiting for the Electoral Commission to give us the full results or the authenticated results as we travel along. But Prof, let me come to you. Do you see an alliance at this point? An alliance, because earlier, before all of these kicks started, we're looking at some people were making a suggestion that Alan and Dr. Bawumia can come together, forge a strong force, and then go into 2024 with it. Now, Alan is not placing second; he's placing third. Kennedy Japan is at number 2 now. Do you see an alliance happening?
It is something they must consider, even though at this point I don't see it happening among the first 3.
Okay.
Among the first 3, I don't see it happening. But they belong to the same political party. And I think for all those 3, their interest will be how to, as they call it, break the 8. So if they would save themselves the relatively more heated one ahead of them and perhaps form useful alliances at this time, I think it will be in their own interest. But for the last 2, those who would add up to the 2, from the initial
to the 3 to make 5.
To make 5. The initial ones, we see Akoto in there, comfortably on the 4th position, and then Ejako at the 5th position. The rest are yet to come, and these are, as you have been saying, provisional figures. I don't see any of the 2 going into alliance easily, especially. You see the type of the persona of Dr. Owusu Efriye Akoto. He's also nurtured this dream for quite a long time. He would want to go for it. Wache Jakun, if he is retained as a 5th person, maybe he is likely to form alliance because he indicated earlier that at a point he wouldn't even mind if all the 8 or so go behind one candidate to face the sitting vice president. Remember, he made a comment like that. So alliances would come. We have phase 1 alliances and then phase 2 alliances. Phase 1 alliances will be the one that would have to be formed right after today, so that they face November 4th as a coalition. But they can also decide to wait, go into November 4th, push the whole thing to a runoff, and then at that point form what we call the phase 2 alliance. But I mean, the choices are DS. We hope
Dr. Drew, you had a point of disagreement earlier when Dr. Prof started speaking. You were shaking your head.
No, I mean, I'm not actually disagreeing with him per se, but I don't foresee any alliances.
You don't?
Particularly between the first 3.
Why?
I mean, look at the. You see, this was something I remember. The first person to move this was Nana Akumia.
Right.
Nana Akumia came up with this idea, and he was poo-pooed. Quite strong words were used against him, suggesting that. But I think it would have been a smart move then, because now, if the figures we are getting, which indicates the vice president is winning landslide, and I have a strong feeling this will translate into the main, the final vote in November. If that happens, the vice president is under no obligation to pick any of the candidates.
Right.
Because by himself he can win this delegates conference easily. So the tendency then is for these other candidates to rather make approaches to him if they really want to continue with
Will it be easy to do?
That is the challenge. Because look at Alan. I'm asking myself, you're going against the vice president, who is a fairly younger person. Even if the vice president should lose the general election as a candidate, he still has opportunities to go.
Right.
For instance, can Alan come back in 2028 to contest the vice president? That's going to be difficult for him. I mean, you look at Kennedy Japan might choose not to care. He can decide that, look, I'm going to work against the vice president. And he may be able to come back, maybe age. And he's not all that. Alan has come, if he loses this one, and especially if he comes third after Kennedy Japan, it might come as he's been a serial loser. And I think if he misses out on this, it will be the end of his political career for Alan Martin. But Kennedy Japan and the vice president can easily come back, even if they lose the general election. So I am thinking that if alliances are going to be made, it's going to be easier for somebody like Boache Akun to make an alliance. But again, you look at the NPP, their trajectory, how they usually pick their running mates. Is it going to be easy for, say, Boache Akun to pair with the vice president? Or is it going to be easy for... So all these things, I can foresee challenges with forming alliances at this stage. And I do believe that they are going to slug it out till the end. But from all indications, I believe the vice president is going to win even the November election. That's strongly my
that's what you see, that the vice president is going to win this November elections. Duke, I come to you. I see some figures coming up, the provisional results. You want to guide us through the figures quickly?
Yes, so the highest number of votes domiciled at the NPP headquarters, 204 votes. This is how they've been distributed. And I must indicate clearly, clarify that these are provisional results. Kennedy Japan has managed to amass 32 votes, coming in second. Alan Martin, 25. Jogate replicated the Western Regional results. He's got 1 here. Safapoku 0. Dr. Free Akoto 2. Kennedy Japan 3. Adainimo 6. 6. Adainimo.
He beat Kwabena
Japan.
And then Dr.
Akoto.
At the NPP headquarters.
At the NPP headquarters, which has 204 votes. It's very significant.
Right.
And you have Dr. Bawumia by a huge margin, 107. So if you had to pick 5 just from this result, you would have Bawumia, Kennedy Japan, Alan Martin. We've always known this. And then you would have Adainimo, and you would have Kwabena Japan. So those would be the 5 who would go through at the level of the national headquarters, which has a mix of all the people, external branches, special groups, card-bearing ministers, and national council members, all of them.
But strangely, you didn't see Adainimo do a lot, Engineer Adainimo do a lot of the campaigns. He was not too visible as Dr. Bawumia, Kennedy Japan, Alan Martin, and he didn't Kwabena Japan. So you didn't see that loud bang from him. Quite shocking.
And I mentioned earlier that he did a lot of submarine campaigning. He said he was interested in meeting the delegates one-on-one, talking to them eyeball to eyeball, and selling his message. It's the same thing he did in 2014 and managed to break into the 5 when he was just a member of parliament. So it looks like he has mastered the art of
submarine campaigning,
going underground, doing his work, and amassing those votes. And these are very, very important people. Those who vote here, the creme de la creme of the party vote at the national
executive, founding fathers, regional executive,
external branches, all those who vote here. And he managed to get 6, beating Kwabena Japan, who has worked there as general secretary. He beat him by he got Kwabena Japan got 3, he got 6. So he will beat him to it. A free Akutu seems to be pulling in some numbers. He didn't do quite well here. He got 2, but he beat Jogate. Safwa Poku 0. Boache Jaku strangely 0. Because I mean he did a lot of work in the North American branch of the party in the days when he was working for the Bank of New York. He was able to. He did quite a lot of work in the North American branches, but sadly none of them looked upon him with favor, and so he got 0 here.
Can we say that the people, and I come to Prof and Doc on this one, but can we say that the delegates, particularly those who are a large majority of those who are voting now in this election, may not have been privy to the things that, say, Mr. Janko had done in the past, things that Kwabena Japan had done then as press secretary, as general secretary, and campaign manager for Akufo-Addo and all of that? Would you say that they didn't know?
Not with this group.
Okay.
Because with
at the headquarters,
not with this group. I mean, even the entire 961, not with this group. Because I mean, if we should strip down the numbers and do an analysis, if we should strip down the numbers and do an analysis, would actually know that some of these people, most of them at least, are above 35. If you're above 35, you would obviously know what Kwabena Japan did in the Kufuor era. You would know what Boache Jaku did. You may not know what he did as a student leader, what he did against the Rawlings regime. You may not know all those things. You may not know the fact that he was writing columns in the Statesman and the rest from New York, bashing the then Rawlings administration and the rest from asylum, if I can put it that way. You may not know all of that, but you would know that he contested in 2007. So for this group, the special delegates, if you would strip down the numbers and look at the caliber of people in there, these are people who should be, a large number of them should be above 35, and they would know these historical nuances. But when you look at the larger base, the constituency executive, that's when you will have all of that. I was having an argument with a cousin, and he was mentioning Kwabena Japan hosting sports highlights, and I told him that I didn't watch Kwabena Japan hosting sports highlights.
He was a sports journalist. He was in Barcelona.
Yes,
actually,
he used to watch sports highlights.
I remember that he was.
Yes, and I told him that I didn't watch him as host of sports highlights. So you have that demographic when it comes to the larger, the base. But with these people who you have Council of Elders and Founding Fathers, and you have regional executives, national executives, and the rest, a huge number of them will be above 35.
Let's cross over now to the headquarters where, these results have come in from. Roland Walker is out there, and he comes through with the Director of Elections, Evans Nimako of the New Patriotic Party. Listen.
The result sheet, and each has been given his copy. And I think the agents of the candidate are by themselves happy that at the end of this exercise, it is the New Patriotic Party that has done.
Will you be in a position to break down the category of the voters today? What are 202 who were supposed to vote? How many came on, etc.? And then which categories within the qualified delegates are they? Are they structured?
So at the headquarters, we had members of the National Council, National Executive Committee, all Council of Elders, our external branch members, our wings, our sector ministers, and past national officers. So this is the category of voters who came to the headquarters. We were expecting 200 delegates cast their votes. We had 176 casting their votes. There were a few that were transferred out. I think about 5 or so. One went to Northern Region, 2 went to Ashanti Region, another to Upper East, and then another to Volta. So all in all, you see 176 of the total vote cast, expected registered voters. It tells you that we had sizable attendance, and by and large, it's been very successful.
Overall, would you say the same description based on what you're saying for the headquarters?
I'm saying that what we experience here at the headquarters,
the
same results I'm hearing from the other voting centers are all good. We are only expecting official reports from the EC, because as we speak, the EC is doing the collation at its headquarters. They will finally come here to do the final declaration.
Wish all the best, sir.
Thank you.
And I'm sure we can speak before the day closes. Well, so that so far is the.
Can you hear me? Roland, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Well, so I wanted you to ask Mr. Nimako if indeed they have received grievances from the Ken and Alan camp regarding the fracas that happened and the concerns that they have raised regarding their polling agents being chased out of those places. Have they received any grievances at all?
Okay, let me just pose that to him. Now,
Right.
there are key considerations that were made in the morning, and particularly complaints from the Alan camp. How have you been able to resolve that? Have you received those complaints, and then how are you acting on them, Mr. Nimako?
Well, for those issues happen in specific voting centers, and definitely it would have been dealt with. As we sit here in Accra, we've not officially received any such complaint. But I must say, since the process has ended almost in all the centers, results counted, we will still wait the official report from the elections committee, EC, and the police service.
Johnny, do you have any more questions? Perhaps maybe you can speak directly to Mr. Nimako.
Well, so I'm asking, Mr. Nimako, thank you very much for your time. Now, the party had a definite rule that if these things happened, the votes will be annulled. In those places, for example, in the Northeast region where Dr. Bawumia got 100%, we are told that the vote was not annulled. How does that come to you as Director of Elections?
I think the directive from the elections committee were specific. We have said that if any voter exposes his or her vote, that particular ballot will be rejected. As we speak, if not officially received any official complaints from the elections committee, so we wait to receive the official complaint. But we sounded the warning to all delegates that there are things we must do and things we must avoid for us to have a very peaceful, fair, free, transparent exercise.
Mr. Nimako, thank you very much for your time. Grateful.
My pleasure.
All right, so Johnny, it's now been concluded. There's a gentleman I want all of us to have some sign off. So we have Mr. Ebenezer Notte. Mr. Ebenezer Notte. Mr. Ebenezer Notte is a lead agent. So he's the main agent right here for Dr. Bawumia, who polled 107 provisionally right here. And Johnny Hughes is live on air. He will want to have an interaction with you.
No problem.
Yeah, so
Eben, thank you very much for your time. Now, this is good news for your side, but I'm sure that you've also heard people say that, well, there's just the first batch. We're getting into November 4. It will not be a smooth run for you again. What do you say?
For me, I think that this is an endorsement that clearly says that come on the 4th of November, the NPP delegates in the country will definitely endorse Dr. Bawumia to lead the party for the 2024 election. That for me, that's how I personally see it. And I know definitely it will definitely come to pass.
Well, now there are concerns that Dr. Bawumia is the regime's candidate and that if care is not taken, people would push him away just so that the regime, which many say will be in the hands of the same handlers people have, raised questions about, could affect him in the November elections. What do you say?
Johnny, I know you have seen a lot of people following Alan Chamartin and Joe Gatti and that of Kennedy Pong and other aspirants.
Right.
Let me give you one example. My own sister and friend, Abdel Sassari, is campaigning for Alan Chamartin. My brother and friend, John Peter Mewu, is campaigning for Alan Chamartin. Are they not ministers? Are they not deputy ministers? But yet still, they are campaigning for their preferred candidates. It does not matter who is following anybody. That means that it's a government agenda. No. I was asking some people, do you know the person that the president voted for? Do you know the one that the chief of staff voted for? Even the people that you are thinking that might even vote for Bawumia might not even vote for Bawumia. The one that you think they will be voting for, how do you call it, Alan Chamartin, might not even vote for Alan Chamartin. For us as a party, I believe that we all have an agenda. An agenda is to break the 8. And I believe strongly that the good people, delegates in this party today, 26th of August, have demonstrated as to who they want to lead. And this is just, as you rightly said, this is just a first step. On the 4th of November, we'll cast another vote, which I believe strongly. In our various 275 constituencies, including the national headquarters, definitely will also cast their vote. And I know definitely Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will be declared victor at the end of the day, come on the 7th of November.
But we are considering any form of alliance with, say, an Alan Tremantin camp or a Kennedy Japan camp.
We are going to have only one alliance, and that alliance is the NPP alliance. We are all coming together to support one candidate to win the 2024 election. There's not going to be any camp, not any Alan Tremantin camp, Jogate camp, Bawumia camp, Adenimo camp. There's not going to be any camp. We are going to have only.
Well, Mr. Nate, it looks like what do you call it? This alliance you are talking about, trying to unify everybody, may not be a walk in the park, because already you've seen Team Alan and Team Kennedy Japan raising concerns that they are being intimidated, literally, and their polling agents are being pushed away from some of the polling stations, particularly in the northeast region. What do you say? I mean, would it be a walk in the park for you?
Johnny, to be honest and sincere with you, I have not monitored what has gone on in the northern region. I have been in the headquarters since morning. I came here at exactly by 6:30. I'm here. I can tell you for a fact that nobody who came to cast his or her vote was intimidated. No, I don't know what has happened in the northern region, but I can tell you for a fact that at the end of the day, we are going to come together as one party people. Definitely Kennedy and then Alan Tremantin, Jogate, whoever. I can tell you we are all coming together to make sure that we win the 2024 election. If there's going to be any alliance, then I can tell the others will say that, looking at where we have gotten to and what we have done so far, let's leave for our brother to go. And they will all come and join them and they will do the work. For me, that is what I'm expecting, and not any other thing else. Not an alliance that will divide a party, or an alliance that is going to discriminate. I don't think so. I believe if there's going to be any alliance, it's going to be an alliance to unite us to ensure that we break the 8 come 7 December 2024. That is what I believe.
Thank you very much. Ebenezer Nate, he is the former member of parliament for Ablekuma Central constituency and also the polling agent for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia at the NPP headquarters, where Dr. Bawumia polled over 100 votes in that decider for 5 persons to be selected. I see Godwin Asedeba is in the eastern region and is trying to connect with us on Zoom as well. We'll go to Godwin Asedeba now and check out what updates he has. Godwin, thank you very much. What updates do you have for us, Godwin?
Right, Johnny, in a significant turn of events, Bawumia has secured the top spot in the NPP Delegates Conference here in the Eastern region. His victory comes as he surpasses notable contenders with Honorable Kennedy Japan.
Oh, how? Go ahead.
Again,
go ahead. Asedeba, go ahead.
Absolutely. So, his victory comes as he surpasses notable contenders with Honorable Kennedy Japan securing 8 votes. Honorable Alan Tremantin securing 7 votes. Honorable Boachi Tremantin Jaku receiving 4 votes. Honorable Dr. Owusefuya Koto and Honorable Francis Adeyinimo each gaining 1 vote, and other contenders received 0. So at the moment here at the Kokoribia Tech, the voting has come to an end. The EC has announced the results. Bawumia's favorites cannot hide the excitement, as you can see them jubilating, even when it was getting towards the moment of them announcing the original results. You could see them jubilating around, having so much confidence that Bawumia was going to win this particular, election here in the Eastern region. So basically, earlier I reported that there was a little chaos here where the police had to barricade some part of the premises, which was so far from other delegates who came here to vote, as well as the media as well. But the security was so tight here to an extent that they had to come to a conclusion where matters were calm. So at the moment, the atmosphere is serene because everything has come to an end. Bawumia's favorite are really excited that this really came top for them. Even though Kennedy Ohine Japan was inching a bit closer, you could see that most of his favorites were a bit disappointed because they were hoping that he would come tops in this particular region. But yeah, unfortunately, it didn't come that way. But yeah, as the time is hitting towards somewhere around 2:30. My name is Gordon Yasiba, bringing you all the live updates here in the Eastern region as far as the NPP Delegate Conference is concerned. John.
Godwin, before you go, I know that Mr. Boakye Jacko comes from the Eastern region.
Absolutely.
Mr. Boakye Jacko is from the Eastern region. Surprising that he couldn't pull it through in his own region. What reactions have been coming from his camp? Can you share?
Earlier, I engaged him when he came here to cast his ballot, and he expressed so much confidence that he was going to win in his region. But it's rather unfortunate that it didn't happen that way. At the moment, he can't be found anywhere around. Earlier, we saw him loitering around, but definitely when bad news is about knocking on your door, you need to run. So he's taking off his heels, and we can't really find him around. Yeah, so that's the situation here, Johnny.
I hear. Thank you very much indeed for your time, Gordon Asedeba, who is a man in the Eastern region, bringing us results there. I've been also joined by Sixtus Don Ulo. He is producer for Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. You should take time to listen to Sunrise every weekday, Monday till Friday, and you get to enjoy. Sixtus, welcome. You have some results from the Savannah region. Are there surprises as well?
Savannah region, other surprises. We still see Kennedy making some surprises.
Right.
Of course, number one on the ballot, we see that he's polled some 7 votes, followed by number 2 on the ballot, Alan, polling 1 vote from that region. And the rest of them had 0 votes, except for Boakye Ejako, who also had 1 vote. And of course, the vice president, who is having a very good day today with 19 votes. Now, the surprise with Kennedy Ejapong is because all along, with all the polls that we have listened to, with all the analysis, all the pundits that we have listened to, all seem to have placed him at number 3. But so far, with the results that we have seen come through, we can see that Kennedy Ejapong is polling a lot of surprises. And the Savannah region is no exception.
Right. I see. Well, this I don't know what do you call it? Duke thinks of this results, but
it's not surprising. I mean, a clear trend is emerging, right? A clear trend is emerging that we have Dr. Bawumia obviously in pole position, taking the first position, and then Kennedy Ejapong surprising everybody, upsetting the bookmakers, surprising a lot of the polls, upsetting them, and indicating that he's going to take the second position. So if you tally everything that's coming so far, not even in one do you find Alan Trematin actually beating Kennedy Ejapong to the second position.
So far, no.
So far, no. So you have Bawumia, Ken, and then Alan.
That's the top 3.
The picture now, yes.
That's the top 3. Look, again, the narrative is playing out in that same fashion. It looks like the other regions have the template and they're just filling in.
Yes, I mean, I'm quite impressed by the performance of
Kennedy Ejapong.
Maybe we should take him a lot more serious than we have so far.
Should we?
Yes, I think
people have questioned his temperament. In fact, this morning he gave us a little showdown of what showdown he wants to give.
He's giving us a showdown.
Right.
But you see, that is perhaps his handicap. That I'm surprised he's not worked on. He resonates with a lot of people to a large extent. However, you are seeking the highest office of the land. For instance, you receive a report as a president. Do you come out immediately on air to react to it? So I think if he could pipe down on his temperament, it will do him a world of good. Because he's showing that he can actually give. Now, today it's clearly coming out that he's going to play second.
Right.
Ahead of somebody like Alan Trematin, who has been long on this field. And if he could just clean up his act a bit. He doesn't like some of these things when he's told. But if he could do that, it will help him a lot.
He has threatened that if he's taken out of the equation, he will chicken out and the NPP will suffer, because each time the NPP has gone into an election and he was not instrumental in the state of play, the NPP has lost or seen defeat. Now, it doesn't look like he is going to win this. It's going to be a Bawumia, him, and then Alan. If that repeats itself in the November 4 elections, he would think that, well, he has not been fairly dealt with because he wants the ultimate and he could chicken out. Do you see that affecting the party as he's threatened?
You see, the fact of the matter is that it's NPP winning or losing. Whether he stays in and win or he chickens out for his party to lose is up to him. At the end of the day, what is his expectation? Is it to be the president, or that he's going into an election and he's going to be a team player? You see, it's akin to a child saying, "I've got a football, and if I'm not selected, I'm going to take my ball and go." I mean, that sort of thing. But I think he's done quite well in this, and that he has age on his side, and if he can. Also, even if he doesn't win this, I said in my earlier submission that I believe that he can go for the next election.
Right. Because
and
he has
it is
age on
rare
his side.
also. It is rare that somebody goes into this kind of contest for the first time and wins. The vice president may win because let's not forget that he's been in the heat of things from 2008 up till now.
That's right.
He was the star figure for me. In the 2016 election, he was the star performer of all the people, all the key contestants, including the president himself. He was the star figure. So it could be a reward for what he's done electorally for the NPP.
This is 961 individuals who are taking this decision. You may want to call it a smaller sample size of the bigger sample size of over 200,000 in November. Would this reflect in November? These results?
I would expect this to reflect.
With Bawumia leading and winning.
I would be surprised if Bawumia should lose out after this kind of lead here. Especially, we are looking at close to 68 to 70% lead.
That's right.
Which is quite significant. In as much as I would agree that demography that is electing, that is participating in the Super Delegates conference is a bit different from what will happen in the, I mean,
where every card-bearing member gets a vote.
No, this one is not every card-bearing member. It's from polling station executives upwards,
right,
including these same people.
Right.
However, to a large extent, these are all party people through and through. Only demography will change. The youth are also going to be there. But then you ask yourself, somebody like Bawumia, he resonates with the youth.
Right.
But of course, I concede that somebody like Kennedy Japan also resonates very well with the youth.
Right.
I wouldn't say Alan Martin resonates that well with the youth. I mean,
that's because they have not grown. I mean, before they came to the years of discretion, he had left them already.
Even if you talk about 2007, 2008, quite a number of people who are going to participate in the election might not have been active in politics then. So he can't rely on them to push him. If anybody can give the vice president a ride for his money, it's still going to be Kennedy.
I see. Sixtus, do you agree?
I think that we need to begin to find out what exactly it is that makes Kennedy Agyapong so attractive. Doc talks about the temperament that may not be working well for him. Right. But could it also be that it's rather the temperament that is attracting people? Because when you look at the commentary across the spaces, the social media spaces, you see people actually saying that this is the kind of person we like, because this is a no-nonsense person. This is somebody who can tackle the ills and evils in our governance system. This is somebody who will not be afraid to fire a minister who is found to be corrupt. This is somebody who will not be scared of the godfathers of the system and act promptly and urgently against evil in governance. And this is somebody who will not, most importantly for a lot of the voters, somebody who will not superintend over corruption, or so to say, still
was that not the same impression we got from Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo?
No, but you see, the demonstration we are seeing from Kennedy Agyapong is different.
The public outburst.
The public outburst. It's not. It may not be good, but of course, he's also been compared to
Jerry Rawlings.
Not Jerry Rawlings, Donald Trump.
Right.
Even though he doesn't seem to like the comparison that is made of him.
I see.
But we see a deviation from there.
Let's check out the detail. You have Tamale results right
yes,
there, right?
This is from the northern region. And again, we see that there are just 3 votes. One for Bawumia, who has 47. Okay. Kennedy Ejapong 2. And Eje Ejapong 1. And
Alan got nothing.
Alan had nothing.
Wow.
Yes.
Alan got nothing there.
0.
Boache Jaku got nothing there.
0.
Adaini Mo Kofi Konedwa
0. But they are founding fathers in the northern region as well.
That's right.
They are founding fathers.
So the founding fathers, one would have thought that the founding fathers would have resonated with the Alan Chermantin, Adaini Mo, Kofi Konedwa Apreku, Boache Jaku, because, I mean, Doc, what do you see? The founding fathers abandoned the foundation members, young executive
Seriously
club.
speaking, the founding fathers are also being depleted. If you go into the numbers, some of the places you only have 1, 2, 3. There are not a lot of them now, sincerely speaking. Some of them are dying off. Some might not even be willing to go out there to vote and the likes. So I think that anybody relying on founding fathers has got even a smaller pool.
What about the regional executive?
Regional executive,
National
yes,
executive.
they are there. Regional executive, if you look at it, in all likelihood, you're going to get a lot more of the regional executives going to push for the vice president.
But only one of them voted for Kwabena Japan, who served as general secretary before. 2 for Kennedy Japan. Who...
You see, again, when I look at Kwabena Japan, you see, in as much as over the last few years, he seems to have come out strongly to defend himself. Going into the 2016 election, he wasn't a very likable person within the NPP. And I still think there are people in the NPP who still believed that he didn't help the party prior to that incident. So it's a baggage he still carries. He is very articulate as an individual. And then also, you also want to analyze the kind of campaign he's prosecuted. I think at the end of the day, when you are you're talking to your internal constituents, the kind of message that should come from you might not necessarily be the same as you project in a national election. So when you consistently criticize your own party, which is in government, you might not be a darling to them. They may not be very happy with you. So for me, these 2 things might not have worked for him. And if I don't think he's going through to the next phase. If he were going into the next phase and I were somebody close to him, I would have advised him to reconsider the message he was sending. In selling that message to the general population in a general election would seem fine. But when you are selling that message to your own party people, criticizing your own government, then that baggage he comes with from the challenges he had in 2014 thereabouts, right. I think it still had not worked out for him.
I see.
Because he has also not been too much at the forefront of the party activities.
Right.
So he might have lost touch with some of them.
Duke, what do you share? Upper East region,
Upper
right?
East. So Kennedy Japan trend continues. 3 votes. Alan Kojo Shawating, 1 vote. Jogate, nothing. Kojo Poku, not a farthing. Dr. Owusu Akoto, 1. Kwabena Japan, 0. Francis Adainimo, 0. Kofi Kunedo Apreku, 0. Boache Jaku, 0. Bawumia, 31 votes from the Upper East region.
Professor Sapon.
Yes, sir.
This is what Upper East region is telling us.
This is what
interesting.
This is what the people have delivered.
Yeah.
Did they deliver good?
Oh, it was expected, seriously expected. Where I think the surprise will be is the vote that Honorable John Alan Kojo Martin got. Because from the feedback I heard from some of his team members, that area is supposed to fall for him. Yeah. So even if he wasn't going to fall for him, he was expected to at least do something better than we have now. But this is the due day. As for the expectations of his team and what anyone else was thinking, the reality is here with us. Ken is doing well almost across all the regions, doing his best. And overall, he takes the second position until the final declaration is made by the AC. It tells you that some way, somehow, his team is doing well compared to what Chief Alan's team did in that particular region. For Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, I think the trend continues. It appears in all the regions, including the central region. He is in the lead. And yeah, if the trend continues, as we all have seen going, I think he will take the lead. So I'm not too surprised. In all the regions, it appears this parting is obvious. That Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia first, Ken Ohene Japan second, even before Alan. And then you see Akoto pulling through with one good point there. And even in the Upper West, you see the one vote.
No political party in this country, at least since 1992 we know, can win an election just with their base. They always need the independent voters or the people in between the two parties to be able to make 50% plus one.
Yes.
If you listen to the sentiments of people outside the NPP, I mean, some persons within the NPP have raised concerns about Mr. Kennedy Japan's temperament and how that could affect the final vote and decision. But if you listen to people outside, people say, well, he's not diplomatic. He's not the kind of person we want to represent us. He is good. He resonates with the youth. He's created employment. He touts his achievements and all of that. He said he's not been to too much. He's been to the School of Hard Knocks and all of that. But will he be the attractive person on the ticket of the NPP come 2024 to win power, to break the 8?
Well, we are waiting to see what the delegates will say. At this point, they will have to bring to us who they think will be on the ticket in their interest. And then we would diagnose and discuss them as it is. But from the surface, he qualifies per the constitutional requirement to lead.
Right.
And nothing should be taken away from him. He's a good man, philanthropic. He's had a lot of good relationships with agencies and individuals, some companies, and a lot of things. But his weaknesses is what he needs to work on, because if you are going to be a leader, it's not going to be about you.
Right.
It's going to be about the people you lead. And in a democratic dispensation like he's seeking to head, it is for the people, not for you.
Right.
The power must emanate from the people, and you are just superintending and moderating the people. So if
does he
not
get that?
He needs to. You see, his handlers will need to let him get that. For example, this afternoon, we are told that in one of the centers, his agent was
in the northeast.
In the northeast, his agent was chased away. You see, if it was me, and I can't really say openly would be mate. So you would first report what you have heard to the committee. Let the committee give you official report, and then you will speak based on the official report.
But the committee says nobody has come to them. And Mr. Nimarko said it, that nobody has come to them.
So if by close of the day, we hear you fume, and
we saw one of his handlers trying to and actually shielding the camera.
Cameras and all those things. And you wouldn't, just upon what you heard, it is something that, Honorable, if you are listening to us, you really need to work on.
Does that also not say that he is a passionate individual? He's passionate about the things that
you can call it whatever you want to call it. But what makes you a complete human being is about how you see yourself and what you describe yourself to be, plus what others to say about the feedback. You must equally accept the feedback and blend it, and not to say, oh, this is me. I think it is passion, so I'll go ahead and do it that way. It is not about you. So take the feedback, Honorable, if you are listening to us, take the feedback. Leadership will not expect that you fume like that without having the full details of the matter.
Right.
So let's work on those things. Let him, not us.
So this is free consultancy.
Absolutely.
You're about the third academic who has told Mr. Japan to work on his temperament.
He needs to.
Academic. One I think from KNUST and another an independent person. That you're the third.
He really needs to.
Anyway, Sixtus, let's go to the Volta region. That's the stronghold of the NDC. The NPP says we want to conquer it. What are the results?
And who is the best man to lead them in that battle? That would be the Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, polling 29 of the votes from the delegates, and Francis Adainimo gets 1. Dr. Osu Efria Koto gets 3, and probably we get the first or the second of the surprises. The second region, in the Upper West region, we saw that Alan had beaten Kennedy with just 1 vote.
Right.
Now, in the Volta region, we see that the two of them have grown. So, Upper West region speaks differently, Volta region speaks differently. But here, I mean, you can see that the party is keeping faith with the Honorable Alan Chamating, telling him that all his long years of service to the party is not in vain. At least they still believe him. And indeed, I saw one of his speeches to the people of the Volta region, where he said that he was the man to help them decimate the NDC in that area. I think maybe they bought into that message.
Dr. Drew, this is the Volta region speaking.
Yes.
Did they speak well?
Well, as for that one, I'm an independent.
Yes, that's what I'm asking you.
It resonates with what is happening across the country. Obviously,
but this is a tie now between Kennedy Japan and Alan Chamating.
You see, again, first let's look at the Vice President.
Okay.
He's getting 29.
Right.
If you put the rest together, they are getting 12.
That's right.
I mean, open gap between the Vice President and the rest of them. And for me, this is speaking to, I mean, if you look at all the results we've had, Vice President is leading with huge margins.
Right.
It is indicating first and foremost that he is the most popular person across the country within the NPP. However, the question remains, who would be better than him within NPP? Aside, I mean, if you take out the Vice President, who is going to be better? Who is going to resonate better with Ghanaians beyond that?
Well, the question has been asked about his integrity, and each time, you know, somebody wants to take on the NPP, it is either a video and audio of Dr. Bawumia, something I said in the past or tweeted, you know, that had come up. And that really affected his campaign to a very large extent until you had it, you know, rewind and come back and zoom into the forward. Trust me, come 2024, and those videos will come up again. Definitely. Because, and if you notice, he hasn't spoken in a very long time about key issues, e-levy, domestic debt exchange, all those ones, because I'm sure his handlers now know that, look, people will always fall back on those tapes and play them back. He will have to deal with his own words from the past.
Absolutely. But then, I think he's also listening to his handlers. He has got a team working with him. And he knows when to speak and when not to speak. You see, in politics, sometimes it's better to be quiet and concede than to respond all the time. Because remember, not too long ago, there were some smear campaigns against him. And it came out that they were false. And it is the same media houses that had taken him on his words who came out to say that, look, this time around we found something to show that this is false. So sometimes in politics, you do not have to respond immediately to even truths.
Right.
Sometimes you allow them to die off. Because every politician would have had some baggage along the line. But effective handling helps you to overcome some of these things. So, yes, if you look at each one of them individually, I mean, if you look at Alan Chamating, people can also dig up something against him. Right. But the point is also that, look, in all these things, he is there fighting quite a good number of them. At one point, we heard that 8 of them are going to gang up against him, openly said. We also know what the main political opponents of the NPP, which is the NDC, I've hardly heard the NDC attacking any of these candidates apart from the vice president.
Right.
That speaks a lot.
What does it say?
It says at least they were foreseeing that he was going to emerge as the candidate. So all the attacks would go at him. However, he's become politically savvy. And he's also sitting back, analyzing the situation, knowing when to speak. And
does he have a choice as to when to speak and not to speak? Especially as vice president, head of the economic management team, he still has power until 2024. So he's ruling the country silently. Is that what we're supposed to be doing?
He's not
because
being silent.
He wants power in 2025.
He's still engaging his people. I mean, he was campaigning. He was going out to meet with the party
He's the vice president of the republic, not the vice president of the NPP.
No, but at the end of the day, he's not a president. So he will come out and say, I am not the president. I'm only a vice president.
That would be tantamount to disassociating himself from
the president.
Because he was brought in to deputize and partner with the president. At least what J. Kufuor said, what President Kufuor himself said, to win power. And also to bring the magic wand to change the situation.
Mark my
words. If
words.
he is now preaching a new kind of change, when we have not finished the change mandate that he partnered with someone to come for, which we will be asking questions about his integrity, shouldn't we?
Obviously, this government has run itself into a lot of difficulties, without question. But this man wants to be the president. He is definitely, mark my words, he's going to come out to say, hey, I'm only the running mate. I'm only the vice president. At the end of the day, the buck stops to the president.
Right.
I gave an advice. It wasn't heeded to. How can you say about that?
He would say that.
He's going to have to say it at the end of the day.
So that what? So that he is extricated
No,
from...
he's going to present his own vision. And the question is, how well is it going to resonate with the people? And mind you, you see, in politics, it is not only the reality that matters. Sometimes we might assume he was in charge of... he was in charge. However, you come out, I'm not in charge. And then there are various factors that affect election. Not only performance.
If you go back, Professor Sample, let me bring you. If you go back to the primaries where we had 17 people, all the 17 people said they were coming in to continue the legacy of J.A. Kufuor. All these 10 individuals say they are bringing a new vision. So it means that all of them, not just Dr. Bawumia, have distanced themselves, if you will, politically, from the record of President Akufo-Addo to say that we have a new vision. They are not saying they want to come and continue the vision, because if they get into the election proper and they have to campaign, even Dr. Bawumia will have to campaign on the legacy of President Akufo-Addo. But he says, I have a new vision. That's strange, is it not?
Yeah, so Johnny...
To either continue or to have a new vision.
Yeah. Definitely, one will have to come with a new vision because it's a progressive system. So you consolidate the existing vision from both Dr. Kwame Nkrumah through to President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. You must find a way of creating linkages because the nation is a continuum and you may have to come and continue from where someone left off. So there will be that bit. And you may have to, for the progress sake, also come up with your own visions you think would bring the needed progress that the Ghanaian people are looking for. But the question of who the vice president is constitutional.
Right.
So he is somebody chosen by the flag bearer, and he's supposed to take instructions from the president and then act in the absence of the president. The arms of, the economic arms of the state, the three major, the agric, the manufacturing and trade and manufacturing industry, and then the services sector. These three have key agents or persons that are placed to man, and they have direct access to the president to report. Do you get it?
Right.
So if something falls short in agric, personally, I wouldn't expect the vice president to be the one speaking.
Right.
I would have expected the sector minister with his team to be the one addressing it. If something falls off with trade and industry, with finance, we have minister in charge of finance and economic planning. If something is not going well with finance, and this person sits as the head of the fiscal team, working with the monitoring team from the Bank of Ghana, we expect them to be the ones speaking. Unfortunately, Johnny, the ministers we find I don't know why they don't feel accountable. They don't feel like explaining things to us firsthand from their own mouth.
If they are happy with them, the president is happy with them, that's all they need. No, but you are serving, even though you are serving the president, ultimately it's us you are serving. So my biggest challenge with this team, the current government, is not to do with Bawumia and whether he should come and speak on all matters of public interest or not. People are calling him because of his initial comments. And Johnny, his initial comments was to pave way for the NPP to form government. When the government was formed, he was neither made the finance minister because he has a role constitutionally assigned as a vice president. Right. People were, you said we had the men. The men came to occupy those positions. The men are not taking full charge of what is happening in those ministries and agencies. And that is what I think is giving way to political commentators calling for the vice president to speak, instead of calling for the finance minister to come and speak. Are people calling for the vice president to speak? And we'll check out the top 5 shortly with Duke. But are people calling on the vice president to speak up because of his style? If you look at the lectures before the government got into power, and even after getting into power, you remember the delivery.gov, the stakeholder series, the I've forgotten what they called it, but they had something like a series where the vice president was a focal person, always addressing and speaking on various sectors. Things that the government had incidentally done. When he spoke at Ashesi not so long ago, he spoke about every what do you call sector. It? Every sector, but he left out Agric. That was because at the time Akuto Free had indicated, by what I know, by what I see, that he was going to contest. So the vice president has given us a particular style of speaking on all issues at every material time. Now he's silent on all issues, including the economic issues that he's supposed to be chairman of. That's strange, is it not? You see, at the economic management team, and I hold this view strongly, at the economic management team, the team, you and I, the three of us who form the team, all have direct access to the president and mandatorily, constitutionally required, not to report to me as the chairman, but to report to the president. Right. You have that direct access. What is wrong is when you do not report to the president. You would commit no offense if you do not report to me. Right. And this is politics we are talking about, and we go beyond what we see on the screens. And these are men of stature who do not necessarily fall in line if you want to put them in line. So the economic management team don't take the policy decisions. In the morning, Bella and the team were discussing some of these things. And it is clear that the policy in every direction comes from cabinet, where the president chairs. That's right. So that is where the entire deal is occurring, and not the economic management team as a subcommittee of cabinet. Yeah, so we will tone down all those discussions if we understand some of these dynamics. I hear you. Great. That's Professor Smart Sapon there with Dr. Frederick Odro as well. We're in studio 62 Stone Ulo and Duke Opoku, Mensa Opoku. We're live on 3FM 92.7. This is our extensive coverage of the NPP Special Delegates Conference, which has ended. Voting has ended. Counting underway in certain places. The provisional results have come in. We're sharing them with you. But we have also done our own analysis of who the top 5 candidates are, because at the end of today, we will have to prune down the number of 10 to 5. And who will those 5 be? Duke has the detail. What do we have?
Right, Johnny. So this is where Article 39 of the NPP Constitution has brought us. That's right. This is how far the constitutional provision has actually brought us. So from the analysis that we've done with the numbers that have come through so far, a clear picture is emerging in relation to the top 4. So Dr. Bawumia, as you've seen from the numbers, the analysis that we've done, is in pole position, clear lead. Leading by far, not even by a whisker or a small margin. He's leading by a wide margin. So Dr. Bawumia, first, going to go through a shocker for many of the bookmakers and the pollsters. The polling numbers, the analysis indicated that he was going to be in the top 3, but would come in 3rd. He's upset that. He's done that all his life. Always been the one standing out in the crowd. Kennedy Ohene Japan, per the numbers that we have so far, and per the analysis that we've done, is going to come 2nd, and he's number 2 right here, coming next to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Number 3, some may call it disappointing, others will say this is reality setting in. Alan, John, Kojo Trematin is number 3. Third, based on the numbers that we've run, based on the figures that we've seen so far, and Alan Trematin is coming in at number 3, being beaten to that by his fellow Santa Claus, Kennedy Ohini in Japan. Yeah, number 4 is Dr. Osuefri Yakoto. He also, we've seen one major public event from him at the UPSA where he espoused his vision and his policy. Apart from that, he hasn't done too many, media engagements, but apparently he's been on the low campaigning, and we've seen the fruits. We've seen, the figures from the numbers that has been churned out so far, and from the numbers we've run here at Media General, we have him in 4th. Interesting. So the top 4, based on our numbers, settled. But we are yet to get in the figures from the Ashanti region, which is very, very crucial and key. Number 5, who would be the 5th person?
What do you
Very
know?
interesting question. From the numbers that we've run, it's either going to be Kennedy Ohine Japan, it's either going to be Kwabena J Japan or Adainimo, based on the numbers that we have seen so far.
Great. It looks like Adainimo has been consistent.
Adainimo Ejako.
Yes, Adainimo has been consistent. If you look at his position in all the primaries that have been held, it looks like he's been consistent in it. Doc,
yeah.
What do you see, Dr. Do?
Okay, Doc first. Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. Well, I think he's run a dogged campaign kind of thing. He knew what he wanted and went straight to the individuals and campaigned among them.
Right.
He chose not to do any publicity stuff, but decided to reach out to some of these people. Mind you, sometimes we also assume everything is in Accra, but some of these voters are out there. And the funny thing is that the number of votes you need to actually cross into this is not huge, because it's looking as if some of them are using the figure 6 to actually move into the number 6.
The number 6, right?
The number 6. People are getting 6 votes to get into the next.
Yeah, getting into the next 5.
It's quite an interesting.
With six votes.
It's quite an interesting consideration.
Events.
And so yes, Adainimo has surprised me because I've seen 0 from him so far. But as he indicated, he is reaching out to the people he wanted. He might be getting the numbers.
Should we be saying fear delegates now?
No, I think delegates in Ghana, at the end of the day, tell the truth. They speak what the majority
fear the delegates?
Well, you see, politicians are a breed of people I'm yet to understand.
You are yet to understand
yes.
them.
Nobody understands.
I'm sure they don't understand themselves.
Because look at the number of people who've contested. And unfortunately, let me refer to Dr. Apreko. Prof, you are the numbers.
Yeah, so far 0.
So far 0.
Yeah.
And how much did he pay to even contest? So if you are going to pay this much to contest and you get this, I ask myself, you see, he's a very smart person. He is quite brainy.
A good economist and all of that.
Brainy. I mean, he's such a brainy chap. I mean, even, I look at Mr. Boacheja, and if you hear him speaking and say, this is a wise man. Okay. But then, politically, he throws his hat into the ring and he's contesting. And I'm asking, I know Mr. Jacquin is not going to win. Why is he going to contest?
Who is pushing him?
So
or what is pushing him?
You can't understand politicians as to how they make some decisions. In fact, there's still, I'm coming from Kumasi, there's still a gentleman who didn't go through. He has got his big thing there. And I got to hear he used to be the transport officer at Flagstaff House. And I asked myself, you are the transport officer and you think you can succeed the president.
He's aiming high. He's seen how things are being done. He
Sometimes.
thinks that it's okay.
That's why I say
to get in there.
I'm yet to understand
Politicians.
the beings called politicians.
I see.
That is a challenge. So yes, I'm not surprised about a lot of things. I am very much impressed by the performance of Kennedy Agyapong. He's impressed me.
Yeah.
I think he could even have done better.
Okay.
If he had, dreamt about becoming
early.
The president early. Because I think people are, you are talking about people digging up comments from the vice president. Him also, people are going to dig up comments.
People have actually done comments from him. Ahmed Swale comments and other outbursts that
you see,
he's had.
these are some of the things. For me, the vice president is even better placed to defend himself, than him.
Okay. Prof, a dynamo consistency.
Yes. Let me personally salute him. In fact, in my initial assessment, he was not going to qualify into the 5. But as it stands now, he shares same position with Boakye Agyapong, the fifth. So then we are going to have 5 and 6, all having 9 votes now. So I like the way you put the question mark there. What is the party going to do in an instance like this?
Well, that's all journalists do. We ask why.
They should disqualify both.
You think so? They have to necessarily, per their constitution, necessarily must have 5.
Yes.
So then I think the elections committee envisaged something like this, and so they made some arrangement somewhere in September in the event that they do not get 5. Now they have more than 5. I don't know how they are going to treat it. The first provision was in the event they do not get 5, but I think it fits in. And so if what they said is anything to go by, then somewhere in September, these two gentlemen, Adainimo and Boakye Agyapong, would have to stand to be voted
so that they can break the tie.
So that they can break the tie. But full respect to Honorable Adainimo and Honorable Boakye Agyapong. For me, they had come from the bottom to seek a place in the 5. It was favoring the first 4 that we know, and these first 4 have been my first 4 all this while, with Dr. Owusu Free Akoto placing 4th per the arrangement. In fact, I got the indication very early that Ken was likely to unseat Alan at the 2nd position. So,
in fact, Ben Efson had done a poll on that. When the Asin North conversations was ongoing, he did a poll and he said that Kennedy Agyapong was going to place 2nd and Alan would place 3rd. He was taking to the cleaners for that.
Of course.
But it's playing out.
And you see, it's because those who misunderstood him were still looking at the start. The starting, Alan started with a very good base. But somewhere in the middle and towards the end, the overtaking thing came in. And I am personally not surprised. The main deal is what they should all be planning towards. But now the question mark is there, and the party will have to quickly address that question mark. Now that we have Honorable Adainimo and then Boakye Agyapong all placing 5th, 9 votes each. So from my initial collation, the vice president is leading with a very good number of votes, 629 out of the persons who voted. So about 66.7%. Then followed by Ken, 132. And Ken actually was targeting 200 votes. So after his rounds, he was targeting 200 votes. In the central region, he was targeting 80%, even though he couldn't get the 80% in central region. The vice president still won in central region. This was a very good percentage for him. So
for a first timer.
A first timer. So 132, very great. Alan doing 95, not too great as he was expecting. And then Akoto with 40. The 9-9 tie at the 5th and the 6th is what the party will have to quickly come and help us do the separation. Maybe one of them would respectively maybe bow out for the sake of the time not being on their side, because come to think of it, time is also not on their side. You are going into an election with the main opposition party NDC, who has elected its flag way back. The wave is not on your side, and you let them take too much lead also. That will perhaps disturb your front going into 2024. But I think if Ken is doing this well, then it's about how he was able to share his message of being with the people way before today. He recounts to them how he has been with them. He recounts to them how he supported constituency by constituency and begs them to have mercy on him. And I think a good percentage, 132 people having mercy on him is a good start.
I see. Great. Let's look at the top 5 regions now. Let's do the analysis of the top 5 regions. But let's look at the Ashanti region, because these are provisional results that have come from there.
Yes, Ashanti.
The home of the NPP.
The great Ashanti region. if I will be allowed to put it that way. So when you look at...
In fact, the president says Greater Kumasi.
Yes. If you break down the numbers, so granular level, at the regional level, they had the highest number of votes, 119.
Right.
Yes, and Dr. Bawumia, not an indigenous of the region, and I'll tell you why, but he came first with 97 votes. And this is a candidate who was battling 6 colleagues, or 6 aspirants from the region. Alan Chemating, Kojo Poku, Efri Akoto, Kwabene Japon, Francis Adainimo, Kofi Kunedu Apreko. They are all from various parts of the Ashanti region.
That's correct.
Coming up against the Bawumia, who is from the northeast region. Bawumia received got 97 votes. Managed to get 97 votes. Huge margin. Then Alan's people did not disappoint him in his home region. They gave him 10 votes. Yeah, so Alan got 10 votes in the Ashanti region. I think there are 2 regions where he upsets Kennedy Japan. The Upper West region, and now we have the numbers clearly from the Ashanti region. So Alan Chemating got 10 votes in the Ashanti region. Kennedy Japan comes third here. Interesting twist of events. He got 6 votes. Jogate 0, continuing in the not so fine trend as we've seen as the results trickle in. He got 0 here. Kojo Safapoku could not marshal forces in his own region to get at least 1 here. He got 0. And Ochame Bafa Kotosan, playing within the courts of Mensha, managed to get 5 votes. That's Dr. Usef Yakoto. And of course, it's taking him over and above, and he's now in the ranks of the top 4. So he got 5 votes. Shocking. Kwabene Japan, in his own region, 0. 0 in the Ashanti region. Francis Adainimo, 0. Couldn't convince any of the executives from the constituency where he was member of parliament. Happens to be my own constituency, Mampong, 0.
That's his own backyard.
That's his own backyard. He couldn't get a vote from Mampong, at least any of the other constituencies. So he got 0 there. Apreku couldn't get a vote from Offenso, his hometown, got 0. Ejakun, part of Ejakun is from Jamasi, which is also in the Ashanti region. That's where his dad hails from. Got 0. And then Bawumia, the man from Wale Wale, eked out all the votes, 97, just 3 shy of 100. Interesting. The Ashanti region for you.
I see.
So the argument has been made in the electioneering that they need someone who will be able to consolidate and improve the gains of the party's stronghold, which is the Ashanti region. And for those, a lot of the opponents of the Bawumia candidature, that's the argument they've trumpeted. And one of the reasons why they lost in 2008 is because they couldn't get out the votes in the Ashanti region. So if they present a Bawumia, that will be difficult. So they need somebody who's from the region who can consolidate their base. Well, that's what the special delegates are saying. I see. Alan Chemating 10, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia 97. But at least Alan beats Kennedy Japan in his home region. That's the story.
Interesting. Well, Doc, let me come to you now. The Ashanti region, and I'll start from the regional executive, go to the national executive election. Some political watchers say the decisions that they took were largely a protest vote to try and get the party back to the Ashanti region, because the impression was being created as though it was in the hands of the eastern region, the Achim, caucus, if you will. Because, the NPP has 2 factions. There's the Akan faction, there's the Achim faction. Usually would then...
Ashanti faction.
Exactly. Right. Now, the conversations around the decisions that were taken at the national conference, if you look at the executive, Mr. Stephen and team, you look at JFK, you look at a large chunk of the executive, they come from that side of town. And the conversations that have been made about Alan Chemating, you know, coming in to take over because it is now his time. If you look at the walk that Alan Kyerematen had in the Ashanti region, it was a huge one. Everybody thought it was going to translate into votes. Now the votes have come, and it does appear that the people from the Ashanti region, the stronghold of the NPP, seem missing in the equation. Dr. Bawumia has 97 votes. The next highest has 10, which is Alan Kyerematen, and the rest are just trailing 6, 0.000.
Okay. First and foremost, let me correct one thing. The chairman is not from Ashanti region.
He is not.
He's from the Bono.
Okay.
He's a Bono man.
Right.
He's from the Bono.
So why do people say he's from the Ashanti region?
You see that sometimes people see all the Bonos and even well, somehow somebody can claim Ahafo is part of Ashanti to an extent, but regionally Ahafo is even separate from. Bonos are not Ashantis.
Right.
Ahafos are Ashanti, so even though it's a separate region, but Bonos. So the chairman is not from Ashanti.
Right.
But the general secretary is from Ashanti.
That's right.
I would also presume that, in fact, during the NPP election, I was mostly in Accra. I did go to Kumasi a lot of time, and I heard, I mean, when you monitor the stations, they were actively campaigning for
Alan Kyerematen.
No, the national elections,
Right.
for the national executives. They were campaigning for Justin Kudi. I said, why are you pushing this? Now, this is telling me that they had presumed that they were going to go for a non-Ashanti.
Right.
So they wanted to pick somebody from Ashanti to represent them at the national level.
To compensate for it.
To compensate for that. Because, of course, that time, there were conversations. You see...
So it wasn't a protest vote?
No, it wasn't. I think they believe, for me, if we look at how the votes are going, virtually every region, the vice president has won.
That's right.
Telling us that nationally, he cuts across every
in fact, in all
region.
the 17 polling stations.
Every single one, he's won with a wide margin, including particularly Ashanti region. And even if you look at Ashanti region, if you look at all those claiming they are from Ashanti region, Kennedy Japan did better than all of them, except perhaps Alan Kyerematen.
Yes. He had 6, Alan had 10, Bawumia had 97, the rest had 0.
Adenimo had 0, Kwabena Japan had 0, Apreku had 0,
Kojopoku
had
who's also
0.
a royal, he had 0.
He says is he?
Right.
Well, anyway. So this should tell everybody that maybe even in Ashanti region, they don't look at who is going. Look, when Nana Akufo-Addo contested as a candidate, I remember the first time, it was only one, Subin was the only constituency that voted for Alan Kyerematen then. The first time they had it.
Right.
Even in that one, Akufo-Addo won in Ashanti region. So I think the Ashanti region, like the national party of NPP, nationally, they are attuned to what the party as a whole is speaking to, and not necessarily who is coming from the region. So I think this is obvious that NPP as a party nationally prefers the vice president to all the other Ashantis who are contesting.
Professor, the Ashanti region did not fall for their own. All 6 of them. I mean, they smiled a bit at Alan Kyerematen, who is deemed to, be the main man, if you will. But they never smiled at him.
Yeah. In my earlier study of the region, that is where I come from. That's why I work. So I happen to understudy a little. And Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was going to get 93 per my initial.
Okay, so you were
assessment.
just around
so,
it. Plus of minus, margin of error.
So now he gets 97, and I think it reflects the consistency of the views that were held by many earlier. And then the election day. The strategy I saw was that Chief Alan would want to maximize the votes from Ashanti, and so he went to Ashanti just after the vice president had left, so that he would do the final bit, and then his message and those things would be the freshest in the minds of those going to vote. Unfortunately, I don't think much change occurred from what we knew was going to happen in Ashanti region. They may have their own reasons for choosing Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and I had said earlier that it appears that the season favors Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Okay.
Others want to call it the establishment favors candidate. But I don't see it that way, because if anything, establishment has an influence on the minds of delegates or the votes of delegates, then Chief Alan would have been the candidate in 2008, because the same rumor was spreading that President Kufuor and the entire establishment were going for Chief Alan Kyerematen. That didn't work.
Right.
If anything, establishment works and changes the minds of delegates, then your good friend John Boadu wouldn't have lost the General Secretary position, because there too, you remember, he appeared and people had rumored that he was the candidate of the establishment.
Right.
Let us grant the delegates their own knowledge and their discernment and assessment of things. At every instant, they had to go and vote. And accept that their votes are largely based on their independent assessment of what their convictions tells them and what they think will be good for the party at any given point in time.
Right.
And not to conclude by saying, oh, they wouldn't have voted for person A, but for the establishment. No, 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 no. Where would the establishment be when the chairman, the party chairman, is in front of the polling station going to vote? And we've had many instances where people will receive you nicely, and that's what Sir John will call it, fear delegates. Yeah, they will receive you nicely, but still go and do what their convictions tell them. These are adults. These are super delegates. These are chairpersons of the party within the constituencies. They represent the party. If the party has anything, glory. It is they who bear the flag of glory at the various bases. So they should be spared with this thing called establishment, as if they didn't have their own mind of their own or discernment to know who to vote for, who at every point in time will be suitable for them to lead them. So yes, so there's those things going on there. Let us grant this selection as a true reflection of what the delegates at this level want, and then hope that on the 4th of November, the larger delegates will also speak, not as a certain establishment or someone had induced them to speak, but from their own assessment of things, who they think will best lead the NPP into 2024.
Right. My guest in studio, Professor Smart Sapon of the KSTU, I beg your pardon, of the KSTU, and also Dr. Frederick Odro. He is a local governance expert. We'll play for you some of the clips and voices. We're live on 3FM 92.7. But now let's go to 62's Don Ulo. He has some social media commentaries. Of course, you've been sharing your thoughts with us under our post at TV3 Ghana. The hashtag is Election Command Center. We're bringing you live coverage of the Special Delegates Conference of the New Patriotic Party. They are looking for 5 individuals going into 2023, November 4. And we have 4 now. We do know that there's the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. There's Kennedy Akompreko Japan standing at number 2. There's Alan Kyerematen, number 3. And then at number 4 and 5, we have our decisions out there. Sixtus, what do you have?
Very exciting reactions on the social media. If you go to our Facebook page, you would find 2 important videos of the day.
Right.
The first one, let's look at this one that comes in from...
Okay, so because you mentioned this video, Koko, please play this video for us. Honorable Kennedy Japan, and then we'll see the comments that flow right after seeing this video, while we get ready to pick your thoughts and comments that you shared with us on social media.
In this country, President Akufo, member will show down. Vice President, member will show down. So, Mama chasing me agent. I'm not going to shut them. What do you embassy? What do you embassy? Yes, me challenge President Akufo anytime.
And here's Sixtus Don Ulo with a showdown. Sixtus.
I feared you were going to say that. Remember one of the very exciting cardinal principles of journalism?
Yeah.
Dog bite dog.
Yeah.
That's the very first comment we find.
Man bites dog.
under this post by Kobna Boama Etiamo. And Francado says, showdown loading. How much be ticket, I beg?
He wants a ticket for the showdown.
Yes, so people are already booking some front row seats. I'm in my room laughing so hard. Honorable Ken is an action man. Hashtag Mr. Showdown. And maybe, Doc, I was talking about why people like the Honorable Kennedy Ejapong. You would find some of these comments. And Black Celine Oscar says, interesting things ahead. I can't wait to see up to the end. This is from Newton. And Raymond says, this is just the beginning. When it's coming, it's doing. One of the exciting expressions that we have in our local parlance. And then Nyako Prince says, when we support you, continue to fight. Never allow anybody. Yes, never allow anybody to intimidate you. Again, goes back to why they love Kennedy Ejapong. Interesting times ahead. Champion Omar Bullet says that. Mausinu Clue says, oh, ordinary super delegates conference. And this is happening.
That's a typical don't give small money chance. Yeah, he's not playing.
Now, Richard Kojo-Jan, what showdown? Emotional Ken. We can't wait for the showdown. Anaglate David, I hope we won't get a movie very soon titled Showdown. Kuma Wood leading. When it is coming, it is doing. Another comment that we see from Fianco Sechi Young. And Nana Ampindako says, when it is coming, it is doing. Same comments that we are seeing. Hashtag Showdown. Showdown pa. Yes, Ken, we are solidly behind you because Ghana will like give it to. Because Ghana will like give it to God. Will like give it to God too much.
So he supports the showdown.
The showdown, yeah. Don't give this one to God. And again, we see that when it is coming, it is doing comments. Ado Kofi also talks about showdown. So this is going to create a lot of buzz in the coming days, if you like. We are going to see a lot of people use this showdown hashtag in the
We'll come to that. Let's take a look at Mr. Yaboabia Samoa. He speaks for the Alan Tremantin campaign. He's former member of parliament for the Denton constituency. He's also previously been a party communications director, and he's been speaking vociferously for Alan Tremantin regarding the incident in the northeast region where he says that the polling agents for the Alan campaign was beating. That's the allegation they have put out there. My correspondent Christopher Mako has confirmed that indeed some bit of assault has gone on. Earlier you had heard Duke asking that the criminal aspects be detached from, whatever party incidents are there, and it must be dealt with. In Accra, Mr. Nimako, Director of Elections, says they are yet to receive any formal complaint from both candidates. But the video is up there. Sixes, if you press play, I'm sure we can get a feel of it, what exactly is there, and then we can hear what Mr. Boabia Samoa had to share with us. Okay, so let's see it. Let's see the video.
Our agent is in the hospital, and they were showing the vote because they were voting for the vice president. So they've been asked to show the vote.
If they add those results, what would you do?
If they add the result, it's obviously a public sham. That's why I'm telling the entire world, including His Excellency the President, to put his foot down. Because if we all make rules and we decide that the rules will not be enforced, the rules are for the benefit of the public and the candidates, and yet on the ground they will not be enforced, force is applied, impunity is applied, and nobody is able to do anything about it, then the result is a sham.
However, some can say that, your request is a bit far-fetched. The matter could be easily resolved. Why?
In what way will the matter be resolved? If the ballots that were showed have gone into the box, how will the matter be resolved? The ballots that are being showed have been put in the box. How will the matter be resolved? The rules say that any ballot that is showed is invalid. That is what the rules say. Any ballot that is showed is invalid. So if you are voting systematically and showing it systematically, and the EC are looking on, the police are looking on, and our agent is assaulted for protesting, then it's grounds enough to reject the entire result.
Is it, when are you foreseeing a defeat? That is why perhaps
it is not about it. There is nothing like defeat in this. It is a selection. It's a mere selection. We are enforcing the rules. Margin of what victory for the vice. There's no victory when you select 5 people. Where is the victory? You are selecting 5 people. We are talking victory. Those who need it to demonstrate
their emptiness are the ones who are pursuing victory. Those who need it to demonstrate emptiness are the ones who are pursuing victory. There's nothing about victory in this. What it is that the party is peacefully selecting 5 people who will go to the true election. There's only
That's Yao Boabia, someone in NPP circles is known as YB. He's former director of communications of the NPP, former member of parliament for Adentan constituency, and he speaks for the Alan Chamantin campaign. As we speak, and as we do know, we can confirm for you here that no official complaint has been sent to the election directorate of the New Patriotic Party. But we have provisional results from the Northeast region where the said agent was chased out, beaten or assaulted, whatever it is, which has also been confirmed by Christopher Mwako. Duke has that detail. Duke, what do you have to share from the Northeast region?
You probably not see any results board as this across all the regions and across all the voting centers.
Right.
Strikingly lovely to see, especially if you are in Bawumia's camp, right? So you can see that all the other candidates, they don't manage to gather even a farthing. 0 for all the other candidates.
For everybody.
Kennedy Japan, Alan Kojo Chamating, Joe Gate, Kojo Safuapoku, Dr. Uswefri Akoto, Kwabne J. Japan, Francis Adainimo, Kofi Kunedu Apreku, Boache Jakon, all share a similarity. They got 0, right? And 28, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia mopped up all the votes, took all of it, consolidated everything, and they showed that he's a true Wale boy from the Northeast region, and he's got all the votes in there. Same cannot be said for the other contestants from their own regions. But Bawumia has done it, and he's done it in grand style in the Northeast region.
100%, that is. What are social media fanatics saying, Sextus?
Still under that video by YB speaking for the Alan campaign. Salim Adams says, you go explain Taya.
If you don't get evidence, you go explain Taya.
NPP has become Buga under Kufuor. This didn't happen under Kufuor. If this happens amongst themselves, then NDC must sit for 2024. This from Frank Tete. Naliyun Abraham says, pressure. Keep on making your allegations. This is a pre-defeat confession. I mean, this was posted 2 hours ago before we started seeing the results trickle in. Kwesi and Buesakwan's comment is also here. Francis says, losing team always complain. This is in-house fight mode. Fairness should be the order of the game. Nikwe Kubana. Enchi Sapong says Bawumia is robbing Alan and Ken.
How is he doing that?
I wonder where this is coming from. Maybe Enchi Sapong knows something that the rest of us don't know about. Freddie Ham says, all jokes aside, this is extremely embarrassing because it's supposed to be the voting of intellectuals. I'm so ashamed. So this refers to the Northeast incidents.
Right. And the caliber of people participating in the special delegates
conference. So Freddie is wondering how and why we should be seeing what we are seeing. Some of the actions that have happened, he thinks that it's simply embarrassing. Amingo, Emmanuel, they will soon blame JM for this. Read my lips.
You should say that read my lips in Kennedy Japan's voice. Read my lips.
Read my lips.
Say it in his voice, yeah.
Okay, so Nanama Boatima Ajman, when they lose pair, then they start complaining. I mean, if you go on the Facebook page, we have a lot of those comments. Yeah, that's it for me. You go explain, Taya.
Right.
Stop explaining.
The Drew Miso mantra. You can read a few more comments. Up there, AJ Richard has a comment. Drew Miso.
Yes. And Kwabena Nyako says, the agony of a drunkard.
This is. Apologies for that.
This is a no-no. Nanayao Banks, funny people all over. It is clear voting and a clear win. This is from Tayan Joseph. And Dache Hene says, one man will never know how to talk well. Oh, well, there are some of the comments that are really unsavory. Emmanuel says, you see, even Ken is overtaking you. And this directly is to the Alan campaign.
This is just an hour ago.
Just an hour ago.
When the results started coming
in. Yes. Another, you go explain Taya comment from Kwabena Fosu Gideon. And Ominako Vincent says, brother, go to bed. The struggle for power to loot. I mean, Well, people have various impressions about why there's so much pressure on politicians. Doc said earlier on he couldn't understand politicians.
Right.
I guess the guy Donna is in your corner. He also doesn't understand why people are struggling for power. Governor A.K. Saku, you are brave. What has the president got to do in this allegation, bad losers? This is from Chimansa GHOA. And Ebenezer K. Asamoah says, shaking my head. Dominic Dominion Bimpong says, a skill in ICT is a huge asset. This is one of those ones.
Okay. He's taking advantage. Bicycle so far is only free.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about the top four one more time, and then we can look at the votes they garnered, the percentage ratio, and all of that.
Right, absolutely. So here at Media Journal, here on TV3, we can confirm exclusively to Election Command Center that these are the top four from the results that we've put together so far, we've collated, and we've done our trend analysis, we've put in the numbers, and this is how it looks like. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, towering above with a little over 600 votes, is coming in at number one. So he's gone over the hurdle, the first hurdle. He's in the top five. Number two, Kennedy Ohene Japan, shocking everybody else to number two. I mean, the biggest shock would have been him being at number one. But then after, because I mean, a lot of people, the polls from all quarters predicted that he was going to be third, but he's second based on the analysis and the numbers that we've put together. So it's number two. Alan Kojo Chiamating, surprisingly for people, I thought he would be a top contender here and in the next election, and he's number three. Dr. Usefri Akoto also coming in at number four. So these four are determined per the numbers that we have. They've all gone through. Now there's going to be an issue. That issue is number five. Who's going to be the fifth person who is going to join them? It's now between Boakye Ejiakon, Boakye Chiamati Ejiakon, and Francis Adainimo. These two are tied on 9 votes, and I mean, per the rules, Professor Michael Quay indicated at the last press conference that was held that when there is a tie, the committee will cross the bridge when it gets there. So would expect, if that's going to be the situation, would expect further directives from the committee manning this whole process as to what they are going to do. But we have, in the 24th, this is history repeating itself. In the 2014 election, we had a tie, but that tie was in a third position. We had Jogate, interestingly, all the two characters are in this race. Adainimo and Jogate, but Jogate's stock has falling so much so that this time around he's not nowhere near the top
One
five.
vote in the Western region,
his home region, probably his own vote. Probably he will cast the vote for him. So because he has a vote as a member of parliament.
Yeah,
yes.
but if nobody loves you, you must love yourself.
Yes, you must
buy yourself flowers.
So that's how the picture looks like. Yes, and if we can have the globular picture that tells us about the numbers and the figures, that would be absolutely lovely.
Right. So let's see the tabulation, a bigger picture of the total number of votes that each candidate got per the provisional results that we have, and then the percentages that they garnered. Then we can do the full analysis on your election command center. We're also live on 3FM 92.7, and we're coming to you from Adesanwe in Kanda. You can always join the social media comments at TV3 Ghana. Hashtag is your election command center, and I'm here with Professor Smart Sapon of the KSTU, also Dr. Frederick Autry. He's a local governor's expert. Sistus Don Ulo, who produces the Sunrise Morning Show, and Duke Mensah Poku, who is also with our News and Current Affairs desk at this point. Now, let's see the fuller detail. Koko, you put up that infographics there with the percentages and all of that. Let's get to see it so we can have a full analysis. And Alfredo Council will join us very soon so that we can give you some more analysis and a bit more spice in accordance with that. Okay, so we'll take a break now. When we return from the break, we will give you that analysis. Stay with us on your election command center. My name is Johnny Hughes. See you shortly.
Jackpot of the week. Place bets and hit the jackpot. Log into the OneXBet account. Click on the Take Part button. Place bet and take part in the jackpot draw. Give your luck a chance. Use promo code to get a bonus on your first deposit.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet responsibly, not for persons below 18 years. Gambling can be addictive.
Comfort, durability, finishing, quality. Choosing sofas and beds for your home, office or hotel couldn't be easier with an exclusive range of sofas and beds in various designs and colors from Latex Foam. There is so much choice whatever your budget. Latex Foam, your partner for life.
Oh no.
Mommy, hurry up.
We are out of cereal and there's no time to make something else.
Good morning, honey. What's the panic?
We are running late and I don't have anything for Kojo's breakfast.
Fear not. I've got just the right thing for you.
McBerry breakfast cereal biscuits. I've heard great things about it.
Biscuits for breakfast?
Yes.
McBerry breakfast cereal biscuits are made with goodness of cereals and milk for a good start to your day.
Wow, Mom, this is delicious. Oh, Mom, can we have this every day?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Why not? So let's hurry.
Start your day with a smile and McBerry breakfast cereal biscuits. Goodness for your mornings. This advert is FDA approved.
Am I not forgetting something?
Yes, obviously. Flora Mimi.
Thank you. Can I use the washroom, please?
Sure. Flora disposable handkerchief.
You obviously aren't using Flora tissues, my dear, because the Flora tissues, they are soft and easy on the skin and they leave no particles. Are you okay? Do you want to use the washroom?
Yes.
Hey, broke uncle. I will tell Auntie.
Fracture me. I just love how it feels.
Life can get hectic, and sometimes we forget to prioritize our well-being. That's where Vernal Mineral Water steps in. A refreshing solution packed with essential minerals, Vernal Mineral Water keeps you hydrated and balanced. Whether you're at home or work, Vernal Mineral Water is there to keep you going. Don't let a busy schedule hinder your health. Make Vernal Mineral Water a part of your daily routine. Share the love with Vernal Mineral Water, the choice for a healthy, vibrant you.
This advert is FDA approved.
Boga Ponchina bo.
Boga Ponchina ya big go.
Mabagana. No, Mabagana. Who this guy do over there? They get their crap go free. Hey, I did it in here.
Onye mi bako sad senya.
Hey,
woman, baby, cool it down, Ajay.
Offa, this is Bigo Cola. Tasting here, big. This is so refreshing. You've never changed in value.
Oh no. Let's make the party begin.
Let's
go. Bigo Cola. Bigo Cola. You don't want them. They come and they want them. Cola for the party. Bigo for your hunger.
Join the big refreshing moment with Bigo Cola.
This advert is FDA approved.